A new report from Semafor saying that AMC's CEO Adam Aron was the victim of a blackmail plot in 2022. The report saying that Aron sent sexually explicit images and messages during weeks-long communications with a woman who tried to extort hundreds of thousands of dollars from him using fake identities. The report says Aron never compromised company information, didn't pay the blackmail, and reported the events to the FBI earlier this summer. Bronx woman pleaded guilty to scamming a victim number one. That's how I believe some of this came about. We'll talk about that in a second, who Semafor now says was Adam Aron. Semafor's business and finance editor, Liz Hoffman, reports what exactly transpired, and she joins us now with more. Maybe it's a movie, or at least a TV show. What happened here?
It's actually sort of a simple story, which is, about 15 months ago, there was an indictment, a federal indictment in Southern District, that it charged this woman with essentially catfishing and blackmailing an unnamed CEO. And at the time, there was a couple of days where everyone was kind of talking about it, and then just went away. And it turns out it was Adam Aron, who at the time was in the middle of this crazy meme ride, right? Had really become a very public figure, and really overexposed himself.
Adam's married?
Yes, is my understanding.
Okay, so there's two sides to this, right? There's the bad news, which was he was bribed, and then there's the other news, which is also not great, about what he was doing.
Yeah, and I should say, I don't care about people's personal conduct, generally speaking. And I said very clearly in the story that he did not, it did not seem to compromise the company in any way, but this is a CEO. Look, a lot of being CEO is having good judgment at the end of the day, and this is a CEO who I think has demonstrated some pretty questionable judgment on lots of occasions. Some are goofy. He did an interview with no pants on once. Right. Some are serious. I think he spent $28 million of shareholders' money buying a stake in a teetering gold mine.
The mining company, I remember that. Yep.
And really leaned into this meme stock ride in a way that, frankly, is probably why AMC still exists, didn't go bankrupt, but himself, sold $40 million of stock into this craze. So I think that's the backdrop here, and this is a CEO that kind of bears watching. Right.
I want to continue this, but I do want to read you. He put out a statement,
he did,
as I think you probably just saw in the last hour or so. Adam Aron speaking out about that blackmail plot in a long post. He posted it on X, formerly Twitter, saying in part, quote, "Unfortunately, last year I became the victim of an elaborate criminal extortion by a third party who was unknown to me related to false allegations about my personal life. Rather than give in to the blackmail, I personally engaged counsel and other professional advisors and reported the matter to law enforcement. I did so knowing I risked personal embarrassment, but with my access to resources, if I did not stand up against blackmail, who could?" He also writes, "I was asked by law enforcement to keep this matter confidential during their investigation and subsequent court case. Shortly after the extortionist's July 2023 sentencing, I informed AMC's board of directors, which thoroughly reviewed these events with independent outside counsel at Wilmer Hale," that's the law firm. As I said above, this indeed was entirely a personal matter, and the matter, he says now, is closed. So
he told the board.
He told the board after, but it sounds like after because he was asked by law enforcement not to tell them earlier.
And that was my understanding as of yesterday, that he was asked by the FBI to not say anything, which is understandable, and he didn't. And then when the matter was resolved this summer, he told them. They looked into it and came to the conclusion that it was not a matter that required, disclosure to shareholders, and it wasn't a company issue.
Right. So, but as a company issue, and this goes to the judgment story, he has made a number of decisions which people have found questionable. At the same time, the truth is, and I don't know where you think directionally this company is going, he's at a time during the pandemic when people thought this company was going to fail, and fail hard, he has managed through all sorts of different ways to continue to raise money. Now, some people have questioned how he's raised that money and whether he's done that on the backs of shareholders who haven't understood what's happening and all of that. But how do you sort of, through that prism, see all of this?
Yeah, at a normal company, this is very concerning and troubling. I don't know, in the same way that Elon Musk, in a weird way, has been a very good steward of Tesla. His antics have worked to that company's advantage. Twitter probably less so. Adam Aron's, whatever you want to call them, his sort of unorthodoxy as a CEO is probably the reason AMC hasn't gone bankrupt, right? That he was able to really activate this crowd of retail investors and sell them a ton of stock and raise a ton of money. So I don't know. This is a weird one.
So you think the board is more reliant on his track record and
I think it's tough to change
as a result
horses
of
here.
what's
right. He's made it this far. you know, though they did an equity offering a couple weeks ago that really riled up the retail base. I mean, they've just been so massively diluted,
right?
And the stock is down, you know, 95% from
But the truth is, it's funny. Everyone has mixed views about this. In a way, I sort of admire all of the craziness, because this company, without diluting the shareholders, would not exist.
Correct.
At this point, you couldn't pay back these bonds quick enough. I mean, the loans. And so the only way you'd ever do this is to do sort of what's happened here. And so if you're playing some kind of very long game, that's what it is. It's just not a great long game if you're a shareholder.
Well, nobody wants to see blackmailers succeed.
Right.
No,
well, no, that's a separate. The blackmail piece is
but the same sort of. And look, I don't know Adam Aron,
right.
and I don't have a dog in this fight. But like, I think the same impulse that sort of probably got him in trouble here is kind of the reason that he did all the things that worked. Right. Like, most CEOs don't do YouTube interviews with no pants on, but actually, like, his fan base loved it,
right.
and they bought a bunch of stock. So I don't know. This is a strange one.
Liz,
he doesn't say he did anything wrong in this.
Right.
He said
no, very clearly, he is a victim.
His statement,
right.
statement, he says it was false allegations.
And there's a slightly complicated subplot there that's, if you want to spend time at Southern District like I did, you can read about it. But
come on back and we'll do a longer thing, or maybe like a streaming show about we'll do it together, and you can explain
anytime
what actually happened. It
sounds like a podcast.
May not be a family program. I don't know. Liz, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We should mention, by the way, Taylor Swift, the film. Right, tomorrow, the
Big
premiere last
AMC.
night. It's huge.
Yes.
And it's huge. Given, I mean, not that this is going to overshadow that. It's hard for that, but this is all happening at the same time.
Yes.
It's a lot.